Good afternoon. I greet you today with the greetings of respect and welcome you to our mindful community in this day of opportunities, possibilities, miracles unfolding, and choices. Thank you for being here. Last week we were together and we talked about the quote, the piece of writing that had several titles, including Can You Honestly Judge or Don't Judge or Prejudge. How did that go for you? Did you find an opportunity to sit with that thought and make a personal assessment? Did you have any conversation with anybody about it and talk to them about prejudging? Did you have a chance to step up and speak out when you saw it happening in your presence? Did you assess yourself as well as the company that you have? Did you read any of the comments that anyone shared? There was one mindful listener, I believe it may have been Gwen Muhammad, I'm not positive, who joined in, and she was telling a story about her being in the hospital and being prejudged before the attending nurse or physician had a chance to see who she was as a person. There was a prejudgment based on her name. So thank you for sharing that story and all of the stories that you all either shared with me or shared with someone else. So thank you for doing that. It's good to constantly come back and just revisit some of those things because we're always working to improve and better ourselves. So what I like to do, as you know, is always start by just relaxing and breathing. And that's all I'd like us to do today. Why don't we try 3 times? Just inhale, exhale, relax. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just 3 times. Just that alone might be all that you'll need. More than likely, someone of you listening to this will have something happen eventually or suddenly before we connect again, where you will need to use that skill to just relax and breathe. You may not think box breathing. You may not be present to activate all your senses or go down a guided imagery. You may not be able to do all that. All you may have chance to do is just pause and inhale and exhale. But make this assessment. If it was difficult for you to do that just now as we did it, not because of circumstances, not because you may have been driving or doing something else, but if you found it difficult just to relax and be still and relax and breathe, then more than likely when a crisis comes, you will probably not be able to do it. Statistically, they show that during crises, people tend to do what they practice, what they're familiar and what they're comfortable with, as opposed to trying to start or begin a new skill. So what I encourage you to do is take time and relax and breathe. Practice that art when there's nothing going on, so it can be powerful and installed in your toolbox when something does happen between now and next week, or whenever it happens. At least you'll be prepared. So that's the thought. Bringing us to our mindful moment consideration today. It has come from a variety of different locations, the inspiration of this content. But it was about a general. His name was Pyrrhus, king of Epirus. And this has historical reference, military reference, biblical reference, movie reference. You'll see what I mean just shortly. He was known as being a great general. He was very powerful in what he did. He went against the Romans, fought against the Romans, and won several times in victory. However, the quote that's associated with him is this: if we win one more battle against the Romans, it's probably going to be our ruin. Thus came the title of Pyrrhic victory, a victory where the person wins, but more is lost during that battle than has been gained. So even though he won those victories, he lost close family and friends. He lost close military personnel that were skilled at doing things. He lost them and was never able to recoup them, even though he won the victory, and ended up causing his ultimate demise. They call it a Pyrrhic victory. So we could talk about some other examples from that, couldn't we? We could talk about the people in sports, right? We could talk about, we don't have to mention the football players who win the games but walk away with concussions. We don't have to talk about the mixed martial artists and the boxers who win the fights, but they walk away with brain damage or physical disabilities because of that. They won the fight, the battle. We don't have to talk about those who are in jail right now. They won the fight. They won the argument out on the street somewhere. They made their point to somebody, but now they're behind bars because of making that particular point, a Pyrrhic victory. We don't have to use those examples, but we could. What about us right now? We have been caught up in the illusion of success, to think that success is being the best, having the biggest, making the most money, right? Having the largest home, the newest car, the newest phone, having the best, being at the next level, always being better than somebody else. That's what true victory is. But what are we sacrificing or losing in that process? Not saying that it's not nice to have those things, but what if they're at a greater loss? How about the people who go all out to win an argument, and they make their point regardless of what, but in winning the argument, they damage and ruin good relationships? How about the people who want to have the largest home, and I just really want to have this big house? They go out and they get the biggest house, but they've sacrificed time with their families, or the newest job, and they get the job and they make the most money, but they have to be out there all the time doing it, and they've sacrificed on some other levels. Are we having ourselves caught up in the illusion of what success really is? And we start to think that success is stuff, right? I read somewhere, what is it if a man gains the whole world, right, but forfeits his soul in the process? What does it really benefit a man? Billy D. Williams in the movie Mahogany said, I want to tell you something. He was talking to Diana Ross. He said, I want to tell you something. I don't ever want you to forget this. Success is nothing, absolutely nothing, unless you have someone you love to share it with. What is success for you? Have you sacrificed some valuable things? How about the people who want to get that highest position at their job, and they really want to get it, but it's going to mean that they're going to have to work overtime, and they're going to have to sacrifice time with their family and their kids? And I know some people who made those sacrifices. They got the victory of the new job, but they lost relationship with their families. Isn't it something how that now we do have bigger houses, but the families are less connected? In the past, there were smaller homes, but there were more people in, but there was more of a connection. Right now, you find people with newer cars and fancier cars, but they travel less than we did years ago when station wagon, when all of us were crowded in some of those small cars, even a little station wagon with the seat facing backwards. Some of you remember that? Yeah, traveling together. We have the newest phones and the newest gadgets, but have difficulty just talking to somebody who's right next to us. What are we losing in the process of trying to gain that new position, that new item, that new thing? There are some that I know that refuse to get certain advancements. As a matter of fact, they say, I'm not going to get, they've been offered certain job promotion. So no, I don't want to get that job, because if I get it, it's going to mean I'm going to have more stress. I'm going to have less time to myself, less time to spend with family. It would be a victory in one level, but I would lose so much in another level. Those are aware of not being caught up in those Pyrrhic victories, or being caught in the illusion of success. How is that working for us? We are constantly inundated with information from the television that you just need something else. You need to have more, and you need to be the best. And there's a lot of cutthroats and backbiting and backstabbing things that go on for people to achieve what they call victory or success or accomplishment or make more money. Sometimes people can go out together and say, well, look, who made the most? I made more money than you. Is that true victory? What is success for you? How do you decide? What have you sacrificed to get what you want? Some people have the largest of homes but can't even talk to their family members together. Pyrrhic victories, the illusion of success. So what I encourage you to do is look for an opportunity to be still and reflect. If you can be still with yourself and think, the things that I have I sacrificed priorities? Have I sacrificed some of the things that's important, like family relationships or relationships with friends or even my own health? Because sometimes in our acquiring things, we acquire things and we exhaust ourselves physically trying to get them. And so that becomes a great loss. I know a man who sacrificed himself, constantly worked at a mill, and he worked there for years. It was an iron factory, and he worked there constantly until his body deteriorated. He sacrificed his body for that. At the end of the job, you know what they gave him as his reward, as his victory for those years of undying loyalty? They gave him a fishing rod. Isn't that something? Look for an opportunity to assess what you have determined as success. Share that conversation with somebody that's important in your life and make sure that you all are traveling together on the same path. Next, consider the possibility of what life would be like if we did reprioritize things, if it wasn't always about just being first, having the most money, the largest car, the newest of things. And there's nothing wrong with having new things. Please understand, I'm not suggesting that you can't have something new or something nice. I'm suggesting that those victories, those accomplishments are not Pyrrhic victories, and we end up losing more and not being able to enjoy the life we have because we're busy striving to get this. And somebody has offered us a job making so much more money and traveling more. What are we sacrificing of ourselves by giving that up? Consider the possibility of what your life would be like if you had balance in it and you didn't have those kind of Pyrrhic victories. In being mindful of your moment, I encourage you to expect and experience the miracles that's going to expand in your life as you become more conscious of the moments that you have and the things that you call success and powerful. Experience the miracles that will come from that. Let me now take you to the end of that story. This great warrior, general, King Pyrrhus, how he lost his life. He was traveling on a road on a horse. A soldier's mother from a top building threw a piece of tile from the floor or from the wall on his head, knocked him unconscious. Another soldier came by and saw this great general laying on the ground unconscious, one of his enemies, and he finished it. I'm not going to describe how, because children may be watching, but he finished it. And that was his end. A lady threw a tile on top of this great general's head. The point is, unexpected things are going to happen, can happen in our life at any time as we journey through this amusement park of life. Maximize your moments. Make sure that you are prioritizing what's most important in your life. So if at some point you have to sit still and reflect and you can't get up and get around, that you have made what's most important, not necessarily your stuff, but substance. I'm just thinking about the people who spend time exercising, working out all the time, build their physical, and their heart has become hardened because they no longer have empathy or concern for the person right in front of them or next to them, working next to them, or driving in traffic. Expecting to experience miracles that will unfold in your life as you open your third eye, you become more mindful of your moments and become more conscious. Thank you for listening. Share it if your heart is inclined to share this message, either through a video or your own expressions. I guarantee your own expressions will be just as powerful. Thank you for this time. I encourage you always to travel well and to travel with respect. Until next time.